So, John, I've listened to a lot of your work around anxiety and depression, and I work with a lot of people who feel that they are controlled by those ways of being. I would love for you to really debug both anxiety and depression for people so they've got an awareness of what it is and what they can actually do to start moving and free from it.
Well, I always define depression as a comparison of your current reality to a fantasy that you're addicted to. And people, when they first hear that, they get sometimes offended by it, which is good. I think that they need a kind of a shakeup. Because many people right now are subordinating to the pharmaceutical model and the psychiatric model, a medical model that says that you have a biochemical imbalance. And that's true. It's not, no one would deny that there's a biochemical imbalance. But that doesn't mean that that's the cause. That's concomitant with it. In other words, if you were sitting in a room and opened up a door and I let in a giant tiger and it started to jump through the air to consume you with its fangs, and it was salivating, and 2 seconds before it was about to eat you, I stopped and freeze framed it with a Men in Black pen, and then did your neurochemistry and blood chemistries. You would have an elevated testosterone, epinephrine, cortisol, histamine, substance P, and lower levels of serotonin, dopamine, enkephalins, endorphins, vasopressin, and all the chemistries that would be lower, that would be all pleasure seeking. And then you would go there and you go, well, see, you have a biochemical imbalance. You're frightened, you're depressed. But if I stopped and I opened up the pen again and the tiger stopped, and instead of eating you, it jumped and put its arms around you and it said, "You're great. I'm Tony Tiger. And you've always wanted to meet Tony Tiger since you've eaten Frosted Flakes when you were a kid." You all of a sudden would go, well, your chemistry would change in about 800 milliseconds. And all your chemistries would reverse and go into serotonin and dopamine, oxytocin and vasopressin and estrogen instead of testosterone and the other ones. And your chemistry would change. So what we do is we have subconsciously stored perceptions that are affecting our chemistries, primarily because of previous experiences that we've never neutralized and balanced, that accumulate, that affect our neurochemistry. And to just blame the neurochemistry is an easy cop-out. We look for blame on the outside and we look for a solution on the outside so we don't have to be accountable. But the reality is that we accumulate lopsided, imbalanced, distorted, subjectively biased perceptions that create a desire to avoid and seek. And then we set up fantasies about how we want life to be. And then life seems more like a nightmare in the process. I've had thousands, and I mean literally thousands of people that have been clinically depressed that are no longer depressed. Not because they changed their chemistry in the brain by medication, but because they stopped and got grounded about their expectations and quit living in a fantasy about how things are supposed to be. Anytime you expect somebody to live in your values, anytime you expect somebody to be one-sided, always positive, never negative, always kind, never cruel, anytime you expect yourself to be one-sided, always one-sided, or expect yourself to live outside your values, anytime you have these unrealistic expectations, you're going to be depressed, frustrated.
Yes.
And it can lead to clinical states, particularly if you've had euphoric fantasies fed you or experienced by either drug use or a dissociation from what you perceive to be traumas. You can actually create this split and get so polarized with your expectations and avoidance mechanisms that you can lead these chemistries. And if they aren't neutralized by somebody who knows what they're doing, you'll end up on medication. And I'm grateful for medication. There's a place for it for people who are unwilling to go through and take the time to sort through and bring those perceptions back into balance. But I'm interested in trying to empower people, not make them dependent. I'm not interested in, I don't think there's a deficiency of drugs out there. I think what there is people are unwilling to be accountable. And a lot of the things we're taught in the world, as Paul Dirac, the Nobel Prize winner, said, it's not that we don't know so much, we know so much that isn't so. So we're basically bombarded by fantasies about how life's supposed to be. I'm supposed to be kind, never cruel, nice, never mean, positive, never negative, happy, never sad, considerate, never inconsiderate. And the freaking truth is, no human being is one-sided. And people can't face that reality. They keep having this addiction to a fantasy, and no wonder their lives are unfulfilled.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer in cracking the myths, get them grounded, balance out their perceptions. I've developed a Demartini method, as you know, from the breakthrough experience to help them scientifically, reproducibly get that result. And I've got thousands of people to demonstrate that can be done.
Yes. That's amazing. So that is an empowered life in your definition.
Well, empowered life is a state where no matter what happens in your life, you can use it to a great advantage, do something extraordinary.